So, can one earthquake cause a cascade of more earthquakes? Matthew Blackett, Senior Lecturer in Physical Geography and Natural Hazards, Coventry University of the UK, reports on the conversation. Europe is not a region well known for intense seismic activity, but large earthquakes do happen. In 1953, a devastating 6.8 magnitude quake struck the Greek Ionian island. Though these large events tend to be the exception rather than the rule, and that was the island of Cephalonia, and it wreaked havoc there because there were a lot of old buildings that were not earthquake proof that had crumbled. Now, though these large events tend to be the exception rather than the rule, a flurry of significant earthquakes struck the Balkans November 27, 2019, with epicenters in Bosnia, Albania, and even Crete. Geologists are worried that these events might gain momentum, with larger and more destructive events imminent. And we've seen various 4.5, 5 magnitude, 5.3 magnitude earthquakes around the South Aegean, around the volcanic islands of Santorini, Nisyros, Rhodes, Crete, and they're not small, obviously. Should residents of Europe be worried? The Balkans, a region stretching from Croatia to mainland Greece and the Greek islands to the south, has a very complex geology. Kindly support my Patreon account since YouTube has again demonetized my YouTube channel. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below. The whole region is tectonically active due to compression of the Earth's crust further north and subduction. When one tectonic plate moves under another to the south, each process plagues this part of the world with frequent, although unusual, small tremors. Aftershocks are common after large earthquakes, as the region's geology readjusts to the new tectonic arrangement. This means the recent earthquakes in southeastern Europe are not unusual, but they may not have released all the pent-up seismic energy in the region. Numerous laws of geology say that these shocks gradually subside in magnitude and frequency as time unwinds after the main earthquake. Although poorly understood and believed to be quite rare, earthquakes, instead of petering out into smaller and smaller tremors, can sometimes cause a cascade of further violent earthquakes. Perhaps the most extreme episode of cascading earthquakes in recent history happened in New Zealand in 2010. In September that year, New Zealand's second city, Christchurch, suffered a 7.1 magnitude earthquake, which occurred to the west and shook the city violently. But afterwards, residents and scientists alike felt relieved that they had a lucky escape. Tragically, this was a prelude to the destructive earthquake in February 2011, which struck right beneath the city itself, killing 185 people, causing widespread devastation. The downtown area was largely condemned, although with vast swaths of the city suburbs, along with the city suburbs, following the first event in September 2010, more than 10,000 aftershocks followed that one. So while geologists often expect aftershocks to be smaller and less destructive than the first, this is not always the case. Aftershocks may bring down buildings that were weakened by the first earthquake, or hinder rescue attempts of those trapped in buildings by the first one. Anyone responsible for managing the hazards that come with earthquakes must be aware that cascades of further destruction can follow. Geologists are particularly worried about the Gulf of Corinth in Greece, an inlet of the Mediterranean that effectively splits the Greek mainland into two. Here, a process called continental rifting is forcing the Greek mainland apart at an average rate of 15 millimeters a year. So that is pretty fast. And this is the Corinth Canal, as we see, with the roads laid on top of it, connecting the Greek mainland with the Peloponnese. Now, So the rifting is at 15 millimeters a year. It's pretty fast. This rifting process is not smooth. Stresses can build up at once, and once they reach a certain threshold, rocks can fracture and an earthquake can follow. Within the Balkans, there have been 17 earthquakes with magnitudes greater than 6 magnitudes since the 18th century, each with many aftershocks recorded in the days following. Models have suggested that these cycles of earthquakes and shocks are set to continue. So it's not uncommon for one earthquake to cause another and another and another. Armed with this knowledge, people should be wary that when an earthquake strikes, it may not be an isolated event. This is by Miriam Frankel, and it's by Matthew Blackett, Senior Lecturer of Physical Geography and Natural Hazards, Coventry University, on the conversation. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support.